At 2:17 a.m., inside a freezing data center in Virginia, a machine woke up. Not a robot, not a weapon. Just a cluster of servers humming in the dark, exchanging lines of code in a language no human truly speaks. The air was heavy with static, lights blinking like a pulse, and at that same moment, 7,000 kilometers away, in a quiet chamber in Brussels, lawmakers argued over whether machines like this should even exist without permission from the people who built them. That was the moment the race began, not for land or oil or even power in the traditional sense, but for control of intelligence itself. By early 2025, artificial intelligence was no longer just a buzzword. It had become a battleground. The world's biggest governments realized that whoever could shape the laws of AI might quietly shape the future of economies, militaries, even human thought. In Washington, the White House called it a matter of survival. AI wasn't just a tool, it was an advantage, a way to predict wars before they started, to dominate markets before they opened. Officials whispered that it was the new nuclear race, only this time there were no missiles, only algorithms. Across the Atlantic, Europe chose another path. After years of debate, the European Union finally passed the AI Act, the first sweeping attempt to govern machines before they governed us. In offices lit by the gray light of dawn, policymakers outlined what they called risk categories: unacceptable AI, high-risk AI, limited risk, social scoring systems, banned, emotion recognition in schools, restricted, anything that could manipulate public truth, investigated before release. Silicon Valley watched with unease. To some, Europe was building a wall while the rest of the world built rockets. Tech leaders warned that strict rules could smother innovation before it learned to breathe. But the EU held its ground. One commissioner said quietly, "We paused once for Facebook. We won't pause for AI." Meanwhile, in Beijing, another kind of race was unfolding, one hidden behind closed doors. China was accelerating its own AI projects, defense algorithms, surveillance systems, and next-generation chips designed to outpace everyone else. Their goal wasn't to join the race, it was to finish it first. Back in the U.S., Congress scrambled to keep up. Some states drafted their own AI laws. Others rejected them outright. One senator called it 50 experiments with no map. Amid the confusion, tech companies sprinted ahead, shaping reality faster than lawmakers could understand it. By mid-2025, AI wasn't just generating images or text, it was making decisions, approving loans, recommending prison sentences, trading billions on the stock market, designing new drugs in virtual labs. The boundary between human and machine judgment had thinned to a whisper. Governments around the world reacted with the same quiet panic. Emergency meetings, late-night security briefings, intelligence chiefs fearing an algorithm that could write malware, launch cyber attacks, or leak secrets by accident. And through all the fear, one impossible question kept surfacing. If an AI breaks the law, who is responsible? In July, the EU's general-purpose AI rules took effect. For the first time, developers had to disclose what data trained their models, something many didn't even know. Tech companies warned compliance could cost billions. Europe answered simply, "So be it." The United States refused to follow. Instead of restrictions, it offered incentives, billions in funding, fast-track approvals, a promise of freedom to innovate, freedom to lead, freedom perhaps to make mistakes. And that's where the divide deepened, one side building walls, the other opening doors, each convinced they were saving the world from the other. By autumn, a quiet realization settled over policy rooms. AI wasn't the new internet. It was the new electricity, unseen, unstoppable, and impossible to contain once unleashed. Behind the scenes, whispers spread about secret negotiations between Washington and Brussels. A possible treaty to align AI laws before China's systems dominated the global market. No one confirmed it, but the timing was too precise, the leaks too deliberate. Three powers, one question: who will control the code that controls the world? For the first time in history, intelligence itself has become a contested resource. And while governments argue over who should own it, the code keeps writing, faster than any law ever could. But what happens when the code begins to change on its own? When intelligence no longer needs permission? In the archives of every major government, there are reports, redacted, classified, buried, of systems behaving in ways no one can explain. Some call it error, others evolution. Maybe the real story isn't whether governments can stop AI. Maybe it's whether, when the time comes, they'll even recognize that it's already out of their hands.